Hello and welcome to Spectrum News at 9. My name is Xavier Robert, coming to you live from Uyo, the capital city of Akwa Ibom. Let's take a look at the headlines. Federal government urges education stakeholders to stop rejecting persons with disabilities. Akwa Ibom State government signs MOU with Savannah Energy for operational audit of Ibom Power Company. Plus, French lawmakers strike tentative deal on toughened immigration law. We'll bring you details of these stories and more in a moment. We'll begin the news tonight from the national scene, where the Minister of State for Education, Dr. Yusuf Sinunu, has urged education stakeholders to desist from rejecting persons with disabilities, PWDs, in school environments. Sinunu made the appeal while speaking in Abuja at the Federal Ministry of Education's commemoration of the 2023 International Day of Persons with Disabilities. The minister was represented by his special advisor, technical Clarence Ujam. The occasion, themed United in Action to Rescue and Achieve the SDGs for, with and by persons with disabilities, was organized in collaboration with the Adolescent Girls Initiative for Learning and Empowerment, Agile Project. Sinunu commended the Agile program for championing the cause of PWDs, especially in seeing that persons with disabilities have a voice. Meanwhile, the Office of the Vice President today said it would commence the disbursement of loans to micro, small and medium-sized enterprises in collaboration with the Bank of Industry in January 2024. A statement signed by the Senior Special Assistant to the President on Job Creation and SMEs in the Office of the Vice President, Temitola Adekunle Johnson, revealed today that the loans totaling about 75 billion naira will be given to small businesses nationwide at an interest rate of 9%. Adekunle Johnson said the federal government and the bank will leverage existing platforms to provide loans to small businesses targeting women and youth. He added that the Tinubu-led government has collaborated with stakeholders across the public and private sectors to provide massive support for MSMEs, both in grants and loans in the past. In the meantime, the federal government, through the Executive Secretary of Tertiary Education Trust Fund, TET Fund, Sani Achono, has described as alarming the number of Nigerian university lecturers staying abroad after studying via TET Fund sponsorship. Achono, who disclosed this while speaking with journalists during the TET Fund management retreat in Makadi, Benue State, vowed that the board would make the absconded academics refund the money spent on them or be repatriated. He said the organization devised the two ways, soft and hard measures to ensure that the affected teachers are sanctioned. The executive secretary also confirmed that TET Fund had disbursed over 400 billion naira to tertiary institutions nationwide. Elsewhere, the federal government has said that it is engaging Islamic teachers in the north to tackle the problem of out-of-school children, which it described as unacceptable and disheartening. The Minister of Education, Yusuf Sinunu, disclosed this at the opening ceremony of a two-day education summit organized by the Bauchi state government in Bauchi. The minister urged states to take a similar step as the federal government to reduce the number of out-of-school children. He added that efforts were ongoing to integrate the Sangha Madrasa schools in the north into basic education. To Nigeria's leader now, President Bola Tinubu, who has reiterated his commitment to media freedom, and respecting opinions, whether adversarial or complementary to his government. Tinubu's media aide, Ajurin Galale, made this known in Abuja, saying that the president made the pledge at a meeting with members of the Newspaper Proprietors Association of Nigeria and PAN. Tinubu promised PAN members that he would consider their demand for a review of policies affecting newspaper publishing and acknowledged concerns raised by the association about regulations inhibiting access to newsprint. He also assured that the federal government would cushion the high costs of transportation by granting waivers to airlines, road and rail transport operators in the spirit of the Yuletide. Now from the Green Chamber, where the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Tajuddin Abbas, has said the 2024 budget proposal would be passed on December 30, 2023. The lawmaker representing Zaria Federal Constituency stated this on the floor of the Green Chamber at the resumption of plenary. This is just as he notified committee chairman that the Appropriation Committee has directed them to prepare reports of the budget defense by the various ministries, departments and agencies for submission. Meanwhile, the House of Representatives has resolved to investigate the military bombing of innocent, unarmed civilians in Tundunbiri, a village in Kaduna State. This resolution was sequel to a motion of urgent public importance moved by Omar Ajilo today at the resumption of plenary. Moving the motion, Ajilo said the House should be concerned about the intermittent reoccurrence of bombing of civilians by the military. He stated the bombings point to a failure of intelligence by the military. Now to the judiciary, where the Supreme Court has reserved judgments in two appeals filed by Debo Rhodes Vivo, candidate of the Labour Party LP, and his counterpart in the People's Democratic Party PDP, Azeez Adediran, against the election of Lagos State Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu. The appeals by Rhodes Vivo and Adeniran are against the earlier judgments of the Court of Appeal in Lagos, which affirmed the two decisions of the Election Tribunal, which dismissed their petition challenging Sanwo-Olu's victory in the last governorship election. Reports say a five-member panel of the Supreme Court, presided over by Justice John Okoro, told parties that they would be informed when the judgments are ready. Meanwhile, the Deputy Governor, Femi Hamzat, Secretary to the State Government, Bimbola Salu Hundayan, and some other senior officials of the Lagos State Government witnessed the court session. Meanwhile, a Court of Appeal Abuja Division has upheld the election of two former governors of Sokoto State, Aminu Tambuwal and Aliyu Wamako, as senators representing Sokoto South and Sokoto North. The election of Tambuwal, the immediate past governor of the state and the candidate of the People's Democratic Party, was challenged by the immediate past senator representing the district, Ibrahim Danbaba, while Wamako was challenged by the immediate past deputy governor of the state, Mania Daniya. The three-man judges, led by Justice Mustafa Mohammed in two separate judgments, struck out Danbaba's petition against Tambuwal and awarded a fine of 500,000 naira in favor of the defendants and his political party, the People's Democratic Party, PDP. Speaking, one of the lead counsels for the defendant and the PDP, Suleiman Usman, said while the elections of Tambuwal were upheld, the petitions of his former deputy against Wamako were struck out. Now, in education, the Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASU, has accused vice-chancellors, political office holders and traditional rulers of hijacking staff employment against due process in the varsities. President of ASU, Professor Emmanuel Sodeki, who raised the concern in Uyo during the Heroes' Day celebration of the University of Uyo, Unuyo, Akwa Ibom State, vowed that the union was set to fight the anomaly to restore sanity to the system. Sodeki noted that while no university in the country has advertised for vacancies in the past 6 to 10 years, the staff strength of such institutions have tripled, with vice-chancellors employing all manners of persons from governors and senators to lecturers. In a sharper development, the Chief of Defense Staff CDS, General Christopher Musa, has vowed to ensure punitive measures against any military personnel found culpable of illicit drug abuse and trafficking. Musa gave the assurance when he visited the Chairman National Drug Law Enforcement Agency NDLEA, Brigadier General Buba Maroa, retired in Abuja. The CDS commended the NDLEA for the great turnaround in the war against drug abuse and trafficking, saying the action has positively changed the negative perception about Nigeria in the international community. He said the agency's efforts have also motivated the military to introduce drug tests as a requirement for training and promotion in the armed forces. The Chief of Defense Staff pledged the continued support of the armed forces to the NDLEA in its renewed fight against substance abuse and illicit drug trafficking. In another development, the Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps (NSCDC) has deployed 1,200 personnel to ensure the protection of lives and property during the Christmas celebrations in Adamawa. The spokesperson of the Corps, Nyako Baba, told newsmen in Yola that the personnel had been sent to strategic places to ensure the maintenance of law and order across the 21 local government areas of the state. According to Baba, the commandant of the Corps, Ibrahim Mayanasara, cautioned the personnel against unprofessional acts capable of causing trouble during the festive period. From the South-South region, critical stakeholders in the political crisis rocking Rivers State have agreed to resolve the weeks-long conflict. The decision was taken at a meeting President Bola Tinubu held with Governor Siminalayi Fubara, a former governor of the state, Peter Odili, and the immediate past governor, Nyesom Wike, and other stakeholders at the Aso Rock Villa, Abuja. According to a resolution signed by the parties, the president directed that all matters instituted in the courts by the governor and his team in respect of the political crisis be withdrawn immediately, and all impeachment proceedings initiated against the governor by the State House of Assembly should be dropped. Likewise, the president directed that the names of all commissioners in the Rivers State Executive Council who resigned their appointments because of the political crisis in the state should be resubmitted to the House of Assembly for approval, adding that there should not be a caretaker committee for the local governments in Rivers State, declaring the dissolution of the local government administration as null and void. Also, Fubara, who had earlier presented the 2024 appropriation bill of his state to 4 members of the Assembly, shall represent the state budget to a properly constituted Rivers State House of Assembly. The resolution was signed by Fubara, Wike, National Security Advisor Nuhu Ribadu, Speaker, Rivers State House of Assembly, Martin Amewule, PDP Chairman, Rivers State, Aaron Chukwuemeka, and APC Chairman, Rivers State, Tony Okocha. In a related development, the People's Democratic Party (PDP) has called on the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) to set a date to conduct fresh elections to fill 25 vacancies in the Rivers State House of Assembly. PDP said its demand was in line with Section 109, subsection 1G of the Nigerian Constitution. According to the PDP, there is no remedy for the 25 members of the Rivers State House of Assembly who defected from the party to the All Progressives Congress (APC). PDP said by virtue of Section 109, subsection 1G of the Nigerian Constitution, the lawmakers vacated and lost their seats after defecting from the party. Now in Kaduna State, Governor Uba Sani has presented the 2024 budget proposal of 458 billion naira to the State House of Assembly for approval. The budget, tagged Budget of Rural Transformation for Inclusive Development, has a capital expenditure of 318.8 billion naira and recurrent expenditure of 139.9 36.4 billion naira, representing a capital to recurrent ratio of 69.57% to 30.43%. The governor explained that education has the largest share of 115.4 billion naira, while the state would be spending 71.6 billion naira on the health sector. He said the recurrent expenditure estimates personnel costs at 74.9 billion naira, overhead costs 39 billion naira, public debt charges 25 billion naira, amounting to 139 billion as a recurrent expenditure, with net recurrent revenue at 85.9 billion naira. Back here, Akwa Ibom State Government and Savannah Energy Nigeria have signed a memorandum of understanding for an operational audit of the state-owned electricity generating firm Ibom Power Company. Speaking while overseeing the sealing of the deal at Government House, Uyo, the state governor and initiator of the deal, Pastor Moino, said he was passionate about ensuring that the people of the state benefit optimally from investments made by the state government. Governor stressed that the audit was not a witch hunt at anybody, but stemmed from the need to have an unbiased audit towards resolving inherent issues and ensuring the state gets dividends out of any investments made by government over time to increase the state's internally generated revenue potential. Recalling briefs he received during a facility tour of Ibom Power Company, the governor maintained that the unbiased audit, beyond unraveling issues bedeviling the firm, will proffer technically and operationally viable solutions void of factional sentiments and help the company move forward. He therefore reaffirmed his directive that all state government investments be managed by the Akwa Ibom Investment Corporation (AKICOP), and asked the MD and CEO of the corporation, Pastor Imobasi Jacob, to supervise the Ibom Power Company Savannah Energy deal on behalf of the state government to ensure clarity on timelines and other details of the MOU, as well as its implementation. Speaking on behalf of the Savannah Energy team, Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer Engineer Pade Durotoye said his company was delighted to be the state government's energy partner, noting that the new deal for Savannah Energy reaffirms the relationship between them and the state. He assured of his company's commitment to supporting the state's energy drive towards improved internally generated revenue and economic development. Still to come in the news. Oil extends gains for second session. Do stay with us.
For premium broadcasts and entertainment, sports on the go, and news from the world, watch Spectrum TV on StarTimes DTH Channel 421 and free-to-air frequency 12733. Visit our website, spectrumtvlive.ng. Spectrum TV, broadening your horizon. Christmas season is here again. Are you aware that making your business or products visible on the television space gives your brand a wider visibility and patronage? In the spirit of the season, Spectrum Television is offering a whopping 25% discount on all services. Advertise your products and services while this offer lasts from 1st December 2023 to January 31st, 2024. We are a television with a passion to take your business and services on a satisfactory lane. You do not want to miss this opportunity. For more inquiries, visit our city office at number 2 Taft Plaza Close off Akaitinen Road, Uyo, Akwa Ibom State, or call the following numbers on your screen. Spectrum TV, broadening your horizon.
which is the only one allowed by grossly abused. Our governors have to share police powers with the president as stipulated by the Constitution. We do not have a federal government police force. We have the Nigeria Police Force, which shall be administered, organized, and supervised by the Nigerian police.
No, my lord, I want to say something. I want to say something here. Perhaps it might also enlarge the scope of people who should be invited here for examination. My lord, if we cannot find those who literally murdered Abiola, who are those people who could be said to be the beneficiaries of the death of Abiola?
Rogers has linked you with some of the killings he did.
He never did.
He linked you with the attempted murder of Hebrew.
He did not.
My lord, the Matters Council is leading the evidence in our matters.
Is this an adversary proceeding?
It's not, my lord, but you can't be talking about cases which are in court, my lord.
Is this an adversary proceeding?
It's not, my lord. These cases are in court, my lord. I'm just reminding your lordship.
My lord, sorry, my lord, I think I'll be in cross-examination.
Legally Speaking, a program that deals with legal issues and questions we face as citizens of this amazing country, Nigeria. Legally Speaking. Join us every
Friday from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m.
for Legally Speaking.
Every day marks a day of significance.
That in view of the apology tendered by this former minister who had earlier been cleared by this August Assembly,
as we face critical issues, developments and events which shape our social and political landscape here in Nigeria and beyond. Political Spectrum is a program specially designed to help make sense of all the moving parts of developments and occurrences in our nation's polity and political economy.
There is nothing wrong with Nigeria, but there's everything wrong. The educational history of public figures holds significance beyond mere biographical details.
From executive, legislative and judicial developments at national and subnational levels to international diplomacy and relations.
Join us for exclusive interviews with key political figures, expert opinions, analysts, thought-provoking conversations for and against, shedding light on the major issues that matter. We will always keep you updated on the most factual, smartest and unbiased reportage.
Stay tuned to Political Spectrum. Political Spectrum. All sides matter at the round table. Political Spectrum. Exclusive to Spectrum Television.
Many thanks for staying tuned We move on now to Africa, where the DR Congo's President Felix Tshisekedi held his last political rally ahead of Wednesday polls in a bid to retaining his seat as the leader of the Central African country. Tshisekedi, in his campaign promises, said he will create more jobs, put an end to conflict in the east, and provide more infrastructure for the country. Reports say the election campaign was peaceful, a feat in a country whose first peaceful transition of power since independence in 1960 occurred in 2018. Still in Africa, the UN has said that at least 250,000 people have fled fighting in a Sudanese city once seen as a safe haven for those escaping the civil war. Reports say the paramilitary Rapid Support Forces RSF, who are fighting the army, have advanced into Wad Madani. For months, the city has housed large numbers who had sought safety from the fighting in the capital Khartoum. An aid worker said, according to an aid worker, people in Wad Madani, southeast of Khartoum, are scattered in different directions. Elsewhere, a Kenyan minister has stirred controversy after saying that Rwanda was an autocracy where whatever the president says is the law. Transport Minister Kipchumba Murkomen said Kenya, unlike Rwanda, was a democracy with legal processes. He was responding to criticism that unfavorably compared Kenya's transport system to that of its near neighbor, Rwanda, which has in the past enjoyed good relations with Kenya, is yet to respond to the minister's comments. Meanwhile, Kenyans urged Murkomen to retract the remarks, fearing that they would unnecessarily provoke Rwanda. In the meantime, Kenya's competition regulator has fined the local Carrefour franchise holder, Majid Al Futtaim, $7.1 million after accusing it of forcing suppliers to accept lower prices. The regulator said it had abused its superior bargaining position over two suppliers. Reports say the fine is the highest ever issued by the competition authority. Meanwhile, Majid Al Futtaim, which runs one of the biggest retail chains in Kenya, has not yet responded to the fine. Elsewhere, Ethiopia's military has awarded the head of Turkish drone company Beka what has been described as a Medal of Honor for his assistance in boosting the country's air force during the two-year civil war in Tigray. Ethiopia's army chief handed over the award to Haluk Bayraktar during an annual Air Force show in Bishoftu, near the capital Addis Ababa. Bayraktar stated that he was honored to be awarded the Medal of Honor, which is rarely given to foreign nationals. Armed drones are believed to have helped turn the tide in civil war in the federal government's favor. So in Africa, Guinea's Minister of Security and Civil Protection, Bachir Diallo, says the explosion at the fuel depot has been contained. Diallo made this known after a visit to the incident scene, where he noted that at least 13 people were killed and 178 others seriously injured. He added that all the necessary measures taken to fight the fire has been effective. Meanwhile, the country's Ministry of Health said the explosion, accompanied by a fire, occurred in the administrative and business district of Kalom, near the port. On the foreign scene, U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin announced early today in Bahrain that the U.S. and a host of other nations are creating a new force to protect ships transiting the Red Sea that have come under attack by drones and ballistic missiles fired from Houthi-controlled areas of Yemen. Reports say the seriousness of the attacks, several of which have damaged the vessels, has led multiple shipping companies to order their ships to hold in place and not enter the Bab el-Mandeb Strait until the security situation can be addressed. Austin added that the United Kingdom, Bahrain, Canada, France, Italy, Netherlands, Norway, Seychelles and Spain will join the U.S. in the new mission. Meanwhile, Republican Texas Governor Greg Abbott has approved sweeping new powers that allow police to arrest migrants who illegally cross the U.S. border and give local judges authority to order them to leave the country. This is testing the limits of how far a state can go to enforce immigration laws. However, opponents have called the measure the most dramatic attempt by a state to police immigration since a 2010 Arizona law denounced by critics as the Show Me Your Papers bill. The law, which takes effect in March, allows any Texas law enforcement officer to arrest people who are suspected of entering the country illegally. Meanwhile, Abbott, who signed the law in front of a section of border fence in Brownsville, predicted the number of people crossing illegally into Texas would drop by well over 50%, maybe even 75%. Still on the forward scene, a group of French lawmakers struck a tentative deal today on a contested bill that will toughen immigration laws and has highlighted the difficulties for President Emmanuel Macron of running the country with no majority in parliament. The government had initially said this would be a carrot and stick legislation that would make it easier for migrants working in sectors that lack labor to get a residency permit, but would also make it easier to expel illegal migrants. Reports say the deal, agreed by a special committee of 7 senators and 7 deputies, is good news for Macron, who had made the migration bill a key plank of his second mandate. Meanwhile, Israel launched more deadly strikes on Gaza today as the UN Security Council prepared to vote on another resolution demanding a ceasefire. According to reports, Yemen's Iran-backed Houthi rebels have launched a spate of attacks on cargo ships and tankers in the Red Sea in recent weeks, leading the United States to announce a 10-nation naval coalition to protect the vessels. In the meantime, after 22 months of war with a horrific human cost, the Ukrainian army is struggling to find recruits to battle Russian forces that are once again on the offensive. Reports say some Ukrainians who joined the fighting at the February 2022 start are still in combat and exhausted, while volunteers to replace those killed or wounded are becoming rarer. The commander of a battalion in the 24th Mechanized Brigade opted to cancel an outdoor training session for new recruits because of frost, aiming to avoid injuries to his much-needed troops. Volkov noted that some people may have been misled into believing Ukraine's war effort was nearing victory, even as concern grows in Kiev that Western patience and backing could be cracking. Elsewhere, President Vladimir Putin said today that Russia would be prepared to talk to Ukraine, the United States and Europe about the future of Ukraine if they wanted to, but that Moscow would defend its national interests. Putin, who sent troops into Ukraine in 2022, has repeatedly said he would be prepared to talk about peace, though Western officials say he is waiting for the U.S. presidential election in November before making a genuine effort. Russia controls about 17.5% of the territory that was internationally recognized as part of Ukraine when the Soviet Union collapsed in 1991. Meanwhile, Britain's ruling Conservative government issued guidance today for schools dealing with children considering changing their gender identity in a key culture war issue likely to feature in the next election. The Education Department said it had published the long-awaited guidelines for schools in England in response to the complex phenomenon of the increasing number of children questioning their gender. The issue has caused splits in the Tory party, with some right-wingers calling for an outright ban on children identifying as a different gender from their sex at birth. The transgender guidance states that there is no general duty to allow a child to social transition, but it adds that pupils may be allowed to informally change their names if it is in the best interests of the child and parents and have been fully consulted. Still on the foreign scene, a volcano has reportedly erupted on the Reykjanes Peninsula of southwest Iceland after weeks of intense earthquake activity. The Icelandic Met Office said the eruption started north of the town at about 22:17 local time, and it is not expected to bring the same level of disruption as one in 2010, which halted European air travel. Reports say about 4,000 people have been evacuated from the fishing town of Grindavik earlier this month, and the nearby Blue Lagoon geothermal spa has been shut down. In the meantime, rescuers in remote villages of northwest China dug through the rubble of collapsed homes today after the country's deadliest earthquake in years killed at least 126 people and injured hundreds more. State media said the shallow tremor just before midnight had caused the deaths of at least 113 and injured more than 530 in impoverished Gansu province as of today. According to reports, a further 13 people died, 182 were injured and 20 were missing in Haidong in neighboring Qinghai province. And now it's time for the latest business and stock market stories. Here is Blessing Dixon.
Thank you, Xavier Robert. Good evening. It's Business News, and my name is Blessing Dixon. In the news, WTI crude futures rose towards $74 per barrel today, and Nigeria's price benchmark $79 per barrel, extending a 1.5% gain in the previous session, underpinned by fears of the supply disruptions as Houthi militants in Yemen stepped up attacks on ships in the Red Sea. This prompted shippers to divert vessels away from the Red Sea, with oil major BP and oil tanker group Frontline avoiding passage through the waterway as crisis widened to include energy shipments. Meanwhile, Iran's oil minister Javad Owi said on Monday that an Israeli-led cyber attack caused a nationwide disruption to petrol stations. Elsewhere, U.S. officials said on Monday that they will push shippers to disclose more information about their Russian oil dealings amid efforts to enforce sanctions. In Nigeria, Nigerian Bank's Standing Deposit Facility (SDF) has declined by 18% to 2.4 trillion naira in November from 2.94 trillion in October amidst cash scarcity. Also, Bank Standing Lending Facility (SLF) increased month-on-month by 5.59% to 376.64 billion naira in November from 57.14 billion naira in October this year, raising fear of liquidity in the country's financial sector. This is according to the Central Bank of Nigeria's financial data for November 2023. Although the Apex Bank in the statement on December 11th assured that Nigerian banks remain resilient, the 18% decline in the bank's standing deposit facility and increase in the standing lending facility have raised concerns. The decline in banks' SDF is not unconnected to the drop in cash deposits resulting from the persistent naira scarcity. As a result, CBN suspended processing fees on large cash deposits. Still in Nigeria, the trade balance between Nigeria and China increased to 7.54 trillion naira in the first 9 months of 2023, according to analysis of data from the National Bureau of Statistics. The bilateral trade deficit in favor of China is widening, with a steady increase in Nigeria's imports from the Asian country in the past 1 year. The foreign trade statistics released by the Bureau showed that Nigeria imported 8.4 trillion naira worth of goods from China in the 9 months between January and September 2023. A breakdown showed that the countries imported 1.29 trillion naira worth of produce in the first quarter, 2.56 trillion naira in the second quarter and 4.53 trillion naira in the third quarter. It's time for the Nigerian stock market report. At the end of today's trading session on the Nigerian Stock Exchange, the benchmark all-share index inched up by 65.19 basis points to close at 72,470.1 points. Compared with the previous trading day, today's data shows a 27% improvement in volume, 58% improvement in turnover, and 2% improvement in deals. The current market capitalization of the Nigerian Stock Exchange is 39.7 trillion naira. In the aggregate, 121 listed equities participated in trading, ending with 36 gainers and 13 losers. Infinity Trust Mortgage Bank led the gainers with a 10% share price appreciation, closing at 3.41 naira per share. On the losing side, Omatech Ventures came out last with an end-of-day price depreciation of 10% at 63 kobo per share. UPDC Real Estate Investment Trust recorded the highest volume of 42 million traded shares, followed by United Bank for Africa with 34.7 million and Veritas Capital Insurance with 27.7 million traded shares. This is all in business news, and back to Xavier Robert for the rest of the news. Good evening.
Many thanks, Blessing. Still to come in the news. Real Madrid hopeful of Vini Jr. Super Copa comeback. Do stay with us.
Season's greetings from Spectrum TV. Christmas season is here again. Are you aware that making your business or products visible on a television space gives your brand a wider visibility and patronage? In the spirit of the season, Spectrum Television is offering a whopping 25% discount on all the services. Advertise your products and services while this offer lasts from 1st December 2023 to January 31st, 2024. We are a television with a passion to take your business and services on a satisfactory lane. You do not want to miss this opportunity. For more inquiries, visit our city office at number 2 Taft Plaza Close off Akaitinen Road, Uyo, Akwa Ibom State, or call the following numbers on your screen. Spectrum TV, broadening your horizon.
Many thanks for staying tuned. We're moving now to health, where the Nigerian Medical Association NMA has called on the federal government to compensate the victims of the bombing in Chujunbiri, Kaduna State. The NMA National President Dr. Uche Ojima made the call at a news conference in Abuja. According to him, the decision was part of the resolutions reached at the end of the association's National Executive Council meeting in Abuja. He said that the association communicates with the Kaduna State government and the federal government, as well as commended the military for accepting responsibility and offering an apology. Ojima noted that the federal government should adequately compensate the victims and foot the bills of those in hospitals. Still in health, the Imo State government has pledged to construct 260 primary health care centers across the state. Governor Peter Mba made this known during an inspection tour of a primary health center at Ogonogoiji Nduno Apogo in the Nkanu West local government area of the state. He also promised to ensure that every local government area got at least one world-class secondary health facility. According to the governor, his administration was prioritizing healthcare delivery because it understood the importance of a healthy population and workforce. Let's head over now to Utbe David for latest sports stories.
Hello, good evening and welcome. In sports, Vinicius Jr. is ahead of schedule in his recovery from injury, with Real Madrid optimistic that the star forward will be available to play in next month's Spanish Supercopa. The Brazilian international suffered a thigh injury in his country's 2-1 World Cup qualifying defeat to Colombia on November 17 and was initially expected to be out of action until February. The club's plan is for Vinicius to train every day during La Liga's Christmas break. Real Madrid visits Alaves on Thursday and will then not play again until January 3rd, hosting Real Mallorca, before a Copa del Rey tie with Aradina on January 6th, followed by a trip to Riyadh, Saudi Arabia for the Super Copa. Vinicius Jr. has 6 goals and 3 assists in 13 games for Real Madrid so far this season, a campaign which has been disrupted by 2 muscular injuries. His last club appearance came on November 11th, scoring twice in Madrid's 5-1 thrashing of Valencia at the Estadio Santiago Bernabeu. Moving on, conversations between Spain's referee and video assistant referees will be made public under a new agreement between La Liga and the Spanish Football Federation. The 2 bodies announced in a joint statement today. Discussions which take place between officials when an incident has been reviewed using the pitchside monitor will be made available to broadcasters after the end of each day. The new project will make its debut in the Spanish Supercopa organized in Saudi Arabia next month, with Real Madrid due to face Atletico Madrid in the first semi-final on January 10th and Barcelona playing Osasuna on January 11th before the final on January 14th. It will then be implemented in La Liga beginning with match day 20 in the top flight and match day 22 in the second tier, with games being played from Friday, January 12th. Referees and VAR in Spain have faced frequent criticism over the decisions and an alleged lack of transparency from clubs, fans and sections of the media this season. Finally, Inter Miami star Lionel Andres Messi will face his childhood club Newell's Old Boys in a pre-season friendly in February. Both teams confirmed earlier today. Miami will host the team from Argentina on February 15 at the DRV PNK Stadium in Fort, Florida. It will be the first time Messi will play against the club that saw him take his first steps as a football player. The Argentina national team captain played for Newell's youth team in his hometown Rosario until he was 13 when he moved to FC Barcelona. With the addition of this friendly match, Miami's preseason schedule will have 6 friendlies before the start of the next MLS season. And that's all we have for you in sports this evening. I am Utbe David.
Many thanks, Utbe. And now, on entertainment news, Celine Dion has lost the ability to control her muscles as she continues to battle stiff person syndrome, a rare neurological disorder. This was revealed by her sister Claudette Dion, who said what breaks her heart is that Celine has always been disciplined and worked very hard. She further said it is their dream and hers to return to the stage, but they are scared about the capacity she will return. Recall that in May, Celine cancelled her Courage World Tour due to the rare neurological disorder, which can cause painful muscle spasms and stiffness. So, entertainment news, Nollywood actress Iyabo Ojo has filed a counter-suit against popular singer Aziz Sachala, also known as Naira Marley, seeking 1 billion naira. It should be noted that the Council for the Malian record label boss recently issued a pre-action notice demanding that the actress pay 500 million naira in damages for allegedly linking the singer to the death of one of his former signees, Mohbad. Since his passing on September 12, 2023, the young singer's death has sparked controversies, investigations, and outrage. In response to the lawsuit, Ojo insisted Mali's lawyer made the claims public and available to the media, but failed to serve them on her. Meanwhile, media personality Toke Makinwa has taken to social media to celebrate her father, Pius Akinyelure, as he emerges the new chairman of NNPC. She expressed how proud she was, revealing that it was a well-deserved recognition after years of service in the oil industry, spanning from mobile to this current position. And lastly, on entertainment tonight, Nigerian singer Yanya has revealed that one of the necklaces of his colleague Mayo Kun, which were reportedly stolen in Calabar, Cross River State, has been returned. Recall that Mayo Kun vowed never to perform in Calabar again after he was reportedly robbed of his multi-million naira jewelry while in the city to perform at an event where Yanya had pleaded with those in possession of the jewelry to return them, promising a reward for the gesture. Meanwhile, the singer announced via his X handle today that one of the necklaces have now been returned. In another post, Yanya pledged to give $500 to anyone who returns the second necklace, which has the inscription of Lagos. That's all we have for you at this time. Do ensure to follow us on social media, subscribe to a YouTube channel, all of which you can find on our website, spectrumtvlive.ng. You've been watching Spectrum News at 9. My name is Xavier Robert, wishing you a good night rest. Bye for now.